Hey there, Wax Packers! It's your old pal Adam coming back after a long time. I apologize for the wait, but here we are with another edition of Wax Pack Flashback. This is something still near and dear to my heart. If I find an interesting pack of trading cards from back in the day that are still sealed, I'm grabbing them. And recently I became aware that there was a set of cards based on a film called Joe's Apartment. I don't know if you guys are familiar with this movie. This was a rental for me back in the day. Here's the thing. It stars Jerry O'Connell in MTV's first feature-length film that they put out. It was based on a short film with these, basically animated but stop motion cockroaches that were very creative and fun, and they expanded into a full-length film. Now, Jerry O'Connell for me was huge because I grew up watching him in My Secret Identity and then later Sliders. And this is like during the Sliders era in 1996, so I was all in on anything starring Jerry O'Connell. But yeah, it's kind of a lesser known movie. Not a lot of people are very familiar with Joe's Apartment, but I rented it several times from Blockbuster back in the day. And one thing they weren't selling there, though, was a pack of Joe's Apartment trading cards. I'm so curious to see what they have inside here, because really, who is it for? We're talking about, the people watching MTV back in the day, the Gen Xers. They're like college kids, it felt like, and high school kids. Were they collecting trading cards of the movies they thought were cool that had like an alternative music soundtrack? Probably not. So this is just kind of, I think, part of the whole anything that comes out gets a trading card set. But why don't we open this up and take a look inside? Hopefully there's not any roaches that come out. All right, so here we are with our pack of Joe's Apartment trading cards. These are from 1996. They were by Donruss. This is 7 cards and 1 tattoo per pack, which is a really interesting idea. Hey, let's give people a tattoo of what? We will find out soon enough, but you can also see there the movie based on the MTV series, not just the movie. So that's what's kind of interesting here. They must have tried to launch a TV series in conjunction with the movie or something, but there you go. This is very interesting that it is Donruss because, most movie trading cards were coming from Topps. So maybe Donruss said, well, we do sports, but let's try to get, into the movie game too. So once again, just tells us here now, we find out it's also a 90 card set. But let's open this up and let's find out really, I'm just so curious. I've been hanging on to these for a while, actually. So there we go. Like I say, we don't want any creatures coming out of here. Okay, let's find out. All right, so here we go right there. There is Jerry O'Connell himself, Joe. So they say it's based on the series, but it's based on the movie. So did Donruss get some incorrect information when they were producing these? Well, this is towards the end. It says, after a day of unconsciousness, Joe awakens to a familiar, delicious scent. Slowly he lifts his head and receives an eyeful of the splendor of nature. The roaches have done what no man or woman could do. They brought fragrance to the Lower East Side. And we should say, so this is filmed in New York when it was still super grungy and gross. That is one of the charms of the film. Now this looks more like I don't know, is this, I guess not quite a behind the scenes, because this is, he gets a job working in a urinal cake company, and he brings them to his girlfriend, who wants to use them as fertilizer in their community garden that she's building. It says here, Joe lies to Lily about his livelihood, but inadvertently exposes the contents of his backpack. Luckily, Lily doesn't know a urinal cake from a hockey puck. Joe tells her they're mulching pellets, and she's delighted when he offers to supply them to her garden for free. So thus far, no roach cards. We gotta get a roach card here. Very big on the urinal cakes, though. So there's the guy that is a friend of Joe's mom from high school who had a crush on her, so that's why he's giving Joe a job. Joe goes on a job interview with P.I. Smith, CEO of a leading company in the glamorous field of sanitation. Smith, a former classmate of Joe's mother's, demonstrates an unsettling exuberance for his line of work and an equally unsettling exuberance for Joe's mother. Yeah, also, gotta mention his nice wig there, looking pretty good. All right, well, here is the titular Joe's Apartment there. So that, as you can see, very grungy. He gets the apartment, it's kind of impossible. He just gets robbed his first day in New York. And basically, the idea is that you can't get an apartment that's rent controlled and therefore affordable unless somebody dies. And a woman happens to die in front of him, and one of the local New Yorkers is like, hey, just pretend to be her son and you can have the apartment. So he goes along with that to survive. And it's where he meets all his buddies who are the roaches. Oh, we finally got a roach card. So there we go. Now, this is interesting here, this little boat. Now, the fun thing about the roaches is that they appear like everywhere around the apartment. Sometimes you don't even see them. It's just like, oh, they're under a sock. Oh, they're under a Chinese food box. What does this say here? Despite the great way everything worked out, Joe is still out of an apartment. So Lily offers him a place to stay, stretched out in a steaming bathtub in her apartment. Joe lets out a giant sigh of satisfaction, and then the toy boat speaks. Yeah, captained by... Now, we should say some of the roaches are voiced by people like Billy West and Dave Chappelle. And, there's lots of interesting actors that got pulled into that. But here we go. There's a peace symbol in a toilet made out of roaches. This is kind of the classic idea behind what these creatures can do, because they do musical numbers. They do, like, TV. There's, like, a roach TV channel, but this one says... They're immortal, yet impressionable, menacing, yet misunderstood. To most, they represent city life at its most squalid and repulsive. But to one young fella from Iowa, they made the difference between loneliness and love. So honor thy cockroach. Peace. All right, and last but not least, our lovebirds here. So we have Jerry O'Connell and Megan Ward, and they are... What are they up to? We really got a bunch from the end of the set here. Once Lily spots the roaches forming the message, Joe loves you, on the new garden grounds, she realizes that Joe must be the real thing. After all, suddenly her dreams of a prettier city and a decent relationship have turned to reality. So yes, the roaches are magical creatures that help Joe. Alright, so what did we get for our tattoo? This is much smaller than I was imagining, and it's also, like... I don't know, like, what does this have to do with anything? It says looking good when you put it on yourself, but there's no roach associated with this. It's not like the tagline from the film. It's just a generic tattoo. Let's see on the back of... Okay, it does have some sort of branding. Yeah, Joe's Apartment branding, but other than that, that's kind of crazy that this is what we're dealing with here for our special tattoo in there, but... There you go, Joe's Apartment trading cards. Let's find out which was my favorite. So, I don't know what to say about that set of cards. It is so baffling to me. Although that's kind of the way people felt about the movie at the time, because it's very, like, stylized. It's not a... Like, it's got a love story to it. It's got kind of that underdog tale to it. But at the same time, it's kind of just like unconventional, because all of a sudden you just have all these bits that the cockroaches are doing in comedy. Like there's like a cowboy cockroach who rodeo lassos a cat and different things like that. Like there's just a lot of random things. So this card set, though, again, it's just like stills from the movie. I would have loved if they had done something, and I think Topps had more the comedy creativity side of things, when you think about what they did with Garbage Pail Kids and Dinosaurs Attack and those types of things where there was like a story and they would like use the characters, to do funny things with them. That's what I kind of think is missing here. If they had like cockroach commentary on every card, or like a cockroach fact that was just like kind of like the Alf trading cards where you get like a Melmac related bit of like lore that it would add to the universe, I think that'd be kind of fun, as opposed to focusing so much on the human beings of the movie. People are there for the cockroaches. Give them what they want, Donruss. But as far as my favorite cards, despite the fact that I wanted more roaches in my pack of cards, I do have to say the titular Joe's Apartment card is it just fits nicely. It gives you the vibe of the movie, and I recommend, if you've never seen it, go check it out for yourself. Tell me what you think in the comments below. I'd be very curious to see how people react to it now, because I'm just saying, as a 14-year-old at the time, I'm like, oh, this is edgy and cool, and I don't know how people think about that now. But also, in the comments below, tell me where you want me to put this this tattoo. Where do you think it'd be most appropriate to say looking good? But anyway, thank you so much for checking out this edition of Watch Mad Bob Dahoo. It's been a while. I'm out of practice. Thank you for checking out this edition of Wax Pack Flashback. It is a mouthful after all. Hope that you are going to check out everything else that TRN has to offer. The Retro Network is continuing to expand all throughout 2026, so you can get your nostalgia fix there. Hopefully I'll be back soon. I think I can scrounge up a few more packs of cards to share with you. But anyway, have a great new year, and we'll talk to you later.